Hello again, gentlemen. I wasn't going to do a video because we won 77-0. What can we do with such a comprehensive win when it's recorded? But upon reflection, I thought it'd be best just to kind of go through some things that were excellent, some things we can tweak and improve, and then some things that we can just keep on working on in the future. So first of all, discipline was greatly improved. They actually had 9 penalties against us, and we had 5 against them. So we had 5 for us, they had 9 for them. But some of their penalties was coming from direct turnovers, where we'd make a line break and they'd be isolated, and like at least 4 or 5 of those were just from that alone. I talked to the referee after the game. He was like the president or the appointer of referees or whatever he was, quite high up in the association, and he said that it was a really enjoyable game and that we were an excellent team. He essentially said that we're the level of a second grade team. He said he's refereed other grades where the quality of rugby wasn't as high as it was on that day. So it was just excellent. And he said the discipline was great, the attitude was great, and he said it was actually a really enjoyable game. So that's awesome. So even though we did lose the penalty count, some of it was just out of our control, and the most important thing was none of it was for opening our mouths, and we just need to keep on doing that, keep on reinforcing that we're a good team, we're a confident team, but we're not the arrogant team. So loads of things to go through, and it's just a case of where to start. This one here is just great attack. It's ruined by them, but if you just look at the structure and the work that people are doing off the ball, it's just it's inevitable at this point. It's only 25 minutes into the game. Ollie has a great line out. Andy doing what he did all day and just carrying in, and straight away you can see he's got 3 defenders all over him because he's been a consistent threat into the game so far. So he's 3 guys coming around, but again, look how many boys are coming around the corner to work hard and just to get into their faces. And it hits Jono. Lovely little kind of focus, change the focus into Shagger. And again, we're just wrapping around the corner, and it's inevitable here. Like we have 4, 5, 6, 7 boys on 3. It's inevitable. But of course, what they do is they slap the ball as Beggar's playing it. They then switch off, and we execute a simple 2-on-1, and we get the try anyway. But that was inevitable. That was always going to be a try, no matter what there, because the structure that we did off the ball was just outstanding. And it was just a case. It's just so nice to see everyone just fluidly doing it, and people just doing it naturally, which is really good. And it's the exact same here, for the most part again. So this is when they got a penalty from us getting a little bit isolated from a line break, and they kick it and they failed to go out. Paddy, don't let the ball bounce. Come on, AFL background, get under it. And he brings the ball straight back into the kind of the guts of the team, which is great. Shagger's going in. Probably a slight overcommit there again, but once again, if we look at our structure, where people are getting set. We have our pod there, we have Junior, Powell looking dangerous in the background as per usual. We have Sam out in our ones. So again, everything's going really, really well. Lovely little black ball. And we're going in, and again, look at the structure off the ball. And this is probably the most pleasing thing actually. We go back a little bit. We had this ball, and it's a black ball. If you look at Jono, keep an eye on Jono. He goes in, he identifies the rucks one, so he instantly stops, pulls back, and goes, "I'm not needed here. I'm going to set the next pod." He doesn't set point, and he puts his hand up, and everyone reacts to him just going around that lovely big line that was left by their defense, and he smashes through, and then puts the offload in, and then we score. Oh, maybe it's not an offload, sorry, but again, more structural play just coming through constantly, isn't it? And that's ultimately what we're looking for. Just looking for those waves of attack coming through constantly. And it's the work that we do off the ball that's just as important as the work that we do on the ball. Now we have a bit of an ugly goose situation happening here, where we just need to tidy these things up. Like Shagger as well, where he draws in essentially 3 men looking at him, and even this far right man is very much focused on what Shagger is doing. And then we have the ugly goose and the ball's gone. Now in this situation, this is where the offload I was talking about. This is the situation where we chatted about on Saturday, where we need to take the easier options, not the harder options. And if we had just more depth and a little bit more width on the outside, Powell would easily draw him in and then score. And this is probably the reoccurring theme. Like I'm splitting hairs here. We won 77-0, so I'm splitting hairs. But against better teams, we need to make sure we take these opportunities and make them as easy as possible, because the opportunities would be less. So we need to make sure we have our depth, make sure we have our running lines clear, because what Powell is ultimately forced to do is take into contact, there's the offload, and there's the try. There's easier ways to score that try, and that's how it would be done right there. Which brings us on to our next play, which again just highlights how we need to make, take the easier options. And there's at least 2 plays in here where we should be taking the easier options. So it's Shane Manu puts away Ruben Chubb. Again, attracting defenders because he's been a threat all day. They leave a massive dog leg, which will become relevant later on. And Chubb's gone, which is great. Now, maybe Chubb can explain, but it looks like in this situation, maybe Sam's a little bit too far away. Maybe this person here wasn't a viable pass. Either way, Chubb just tries to take him on through the contact and obviously gets tackled. Regardless though, we still work hard. They're a lazy runner, we get the advantage. We try to clean things up. But again, we're straight back into structure. Even though Jono, in my opinion, is probably a bit ISO here, we probably need an inside man getting set. So next time Jono will probably drop back and we need this man to step up and actually just get that point on. But ultimately it doesn't make that much of a difference, because the boys arrive, Sam and Shane. We get the ball with a lovely blue over to Shane Manu, and that's where we should have passed again. Not Shane Manu, sorry, Mini Manu. And again, it's just about taking that easier option and making the man beside us look good rather than the other way around. He breaks the tackle, he gets through, and he puts him in the end. But again, other better teams may punish us for that, so we need to make sure that doesn't happen. So we got some great D here, and then fantastic playing, transitional play. So again, we look at the back line. We got a good connection. Paddy probably want you to come up a little bit further, to be honest, because we have Powell and we have Rory, I think, at this point, covering that back part of the field, so we should be okay. But either way, we come up, and even though it's dead ruck, right, this man has literally fallen into both of these men's laps. So it's Sanga and Matai. And in this situation, if the ball's there, if she's landing there with her legs open, get in there. And that's exactly what we do. And we transition really, really well. And we're gone again. And again, if you look at all the people working off the ball, that's the most pleasing thing. Clearing things out, making things look good. And what we have here is this big guy. He was just looking for big shots all day, because obviously he has a bit of experience and he knows he's up against it. But Ruben does the exact right thing, draws and passes, puts Gerwin into the dog leg that he left in behind, and literally Gerwin can identify that, cuts an unders line and just runs through that gap again, paddling, put him on the back foot, breaking a tackle, getting through. And again, if you look at the boys off the line, we're all set again, ready to go. Straight in with Tony Turi, getting over the yards, drawing them all in. By this point, they're all condensed over here, but they have to stay because Chubb's putting his hand up. We have a pod here. They can't flush and rush this side. And because Pow has made like 100 breaks already, this guy has to stay with Pow. And again, it's just awesome structural things. These are just examples, like constantly throughout the game. And Matai breaks him. He looks at Rory, but unfortunately Rory's the wrong colour, so he passes to his bro, and then Pow scores again. So this is all excellent stuff, isn't it? These are just numerous examples I could just pick out all day, just like working off the ball, effective clear outs. Yeah, there might be a few things here and there, like overcommits, but essentially I'm splitting hairs. There are a couple of things though, and this is one of them. So just our defense from a scrum, if we look here at our wide defense, we have our front row forwards, all three men here, defending our wide channel, and then we have Shagger here with, I think, Sam Green. Like, we do a good job of slowing the ball down, but this is the exact moment we should be pushing Neve in, pushing Tony in. Shane's fit and fast, he could probably stay there, but everybody else, we need to make sure we have our fatties in this part, and we have our our speed boys out here to nullify any threat. Again, this was never a threat really on Saturday, but good habits make good practice, so when we do play good teams, this isn't a concern. So there's ample opportunity there, multiple phases where we have the chance to keep on swapping, reorganizing, and yeah, there's Sanga now coming around the side to reinforce that just in case anything goes wrong. It doesn't go wrong, they knock it on in the end, and then we get the ball and we end up scoring from it anyway. But again, this is just all food for thought for when we play the better teams, and like now we're going to be building towards essentially Wanneroo. Obviously we have to respect Calamander, Perth Bay Water, but we want to nail and iron out all these little dents, so when we go into that game we want to make sure that we are fine-tuned again to the highest degree. Which brings us to our next and final little point, where we obviously worked on our South Africa and New Zealand plays, and we want to use these calls when things are disorganized, when things are a little bit what's happening here. And this is a really good example of when we could have used one, where we had a turnover from a knock-on and Pau was on the attack. So when he got tackled here at some point, there we go, the ruck's formed, but we have one man here. We got, that's just Neve by himself, I believe. There's no structure. There's no structure at all. And the thing is as well, like, to be honest with you, this could have probably been, this could have been another try right here. This guy does a pretty decent tackle on Manu, and we, it could have been a completely different story. Probably a high tackle too. But right here, back there when Pau was in there, that's when we should have called New Zealand or South Africa and get that ball to that area, and everybody else would hopefully hear the call and go, right, this is what we're doing, this is what we're going to. And what happens is we have Tony, who's essentially there by himself, does a decent job, brings on two defenders, gets over the gain line, but again we then have an overcommit. We have Shagger inspecting that ruck, making sure everything's okay, and we have Gerwin in the outfield, which then ultimately leads to him carrying that horrid line of the out to in, where we don't challenge the defense. He gets tackled behind the gain line, and then again we have an overcommit, and Shagger inspecting another ruck, making sure everything's okay. And then we kind of get back into structure. And at this point, Sanga does the right thing, and he obviously identifies that this isn't going well. We need to get this ball off the park, and we end up doing a 50-22. Which we will look at as well. But this is the exact reason why we did the board work on Tuesday and Thursday. It's when things break down, call it. Everyone knows what we're doing, and we get into formation, we get into structure, and we go with it. We do these structures already, naturally, but if we can pre-call these things and get the cogs, spinning to such a degree that teams can't keep up with us in terms of, work off the ball, 4, 5, 6 effective phases being put together, space will open up and we'll just finish them. Which then leads on to this last video, or the last part, which is just a lovely bit of rugby, and it kind of goes back to what we say about making the man next to you look good. And we have a great 4-man ball, which just works really well. They didn't even get up in the air, I think. Yep, don't even get up in the air. And again, we identify this big hitter who's going to come in, going to hit Matai. Matai's going to take one for the team, and Gerwin runs that lovely little sweet line. But ultimately, there we go. Ultimately, it comes from Matai, just kind of, making Gerwin look really good because he's been selfless. He's taken the ball on, and he's made his teammate look good. So even though Gerwin won a great line, he ran a really smart, attractive, brilliant line. The credit also deserves to go to Matai as well for bringing that man on, bringing him square on. He had no other chance to even get across to hit Gerwin. He pops it. He runs under the post completely unopposed. And that's all it wrote. So, gentlemen, that's everything. Hopefully that all makes sense again. And we will kick on Tuesday, where we'll do a few more bits and bobs and keep on trying to improve and keep on getting better before we roll into a few buys. We have a couple of other social events planned as well. So, good night, gentlemen. Farewell. I will see you on Tuesday.